Good day, everyone. I'm Erica Vergara Palogan from BPED 1B. According to the article, the body, most specifically the cardiovascular and muscular systems, experience significant metabolic demands from just one single. There are immediate and acute response by the body as well as chronic adaptation to the stresses of aerobic exercise. So during the start of exercise, the sum of the acute responses of the cardio output increases because of an increase in stroke volume and heart rate. Cardiac output is amount of blood pumped in liters per minute, and it is the product of stroke volume and heart rate. The heart rate increases during exercise, but most people don't realize that it actually starts to pick up right before the start of exercise as a reflex. The stroke volume increases beginning at the onset of exercise, and similarly to heart rate, can increase with the anticipation of exercise. Stroke volume can increase up to 50% to 60% of the resting volume. There is also an increase in blood pressure and blood flow. Systolic blood pressure is the pressure in the arteries during the heart's contraction and should increase during exercise. Diastolic blood pressure is the pressure in the arteries during the between heart contraction and can increase or decrease during exercise. So during the start of exercise, the sum of the acute responses of the pulmonary ventilation is commonly referred to as a breathing. It is the process of air flowing into the lungs during the inspiration or exhalation and out of the lungs during the expiration or exhalation. Air flows because of pressure differences between the atmosphere and the gases inside the lungs. Air, like other gases, flows from a region with higher pressure to a region with lower pressure. So, muscular breathing movements and recoil of elastic tissues create the changes in pressure that result in ventilation. So when you say inspiration or inhalation is the process of taking air into the lungs. It is the active phase of ventilation because it is the result of muscle contraction. During inspiration, the diaphragm contracts and the thoracic cavity increases in the volume. This decreases the intra-alveolar pressure so that air flows into the lungs. Inspiration draws air into the lungs. Well, the expiration or exhalation is the process of letting air out of the lungs during breathing cycle. During the startup exercise of muscular systems, acute responses to exercise are changes to your body to meet the increased energy requirements. As we transition from rest to exercise, our body systems work harder to deliver the required oxygen and fuels to the working muscles as they increase their power output. Endocrine system. With resistant exercise, there is an immediate increase in epinephrine and norepinephrine. These hormones increase blood glucose and are important for increasing force production. These hormones actually began to rise prior to the resistance training workout. This is an anticipatory response of the body preparing for the challenging exercise to follow. The result in chronic adaptation to the cardiovascular, functionally most important adaptation is the improvement in maximal cardiac output, which is the result of an enlargement in cardiac dimension, improved contractility, and an increase in blood volume, allowing for greater filling of the ventricles and consequence larger stroke volume, and the heart rate will be decreases at the same absolute workload. Pulmonary improve air movement into and out of the lungs. In exhalation, the diaphragm moves upward and the chest wall muscles relax, causing the chest activity to get smaller and push air out of respiratory system through nose or mouth. Our diaphragm movements let the air in at It also helps to make them go out of the lungs because it alters the pulmonary pressure due to its movement. This pressure difference causes the air movement to travel in and leave the respiratory system, and it will increase the blood flow through the lungs at the same absolute workload, which delivers more oxygenated blood. During a regular exercise program result in chronic adaptation to the muscular, it will be an increasing energy production from fat and decrease lactic acid formation at the same absolute workload. Strong muscles also give stability and improve balance and coordination. The regular exercise program result in chronic adaptation to the endocrine system of the body, decreases release of epinephrine and norepinephrine. It's very important to have a knowledge and more knowledge about the acute responses and the chronic adaptation. Acute physiological responses, it refers to an immediate response of one or more of the body system to exercise, such as the heart rate increasing as a gym members sits on the bike and starts their warm up. Vital part of our ability to respond to the changes and demands being placed on our body's various systems. Just the act of getting up in the morning and walking to the bathroom requires acute physiological responses such as an increased heart rate, increased respiration rate, release of hormones, increased neuromuscular activation. Without acute sociological responses, we simply would not even be able to get up in the morning. While the chronic sociological adaptation refers to the long-term effects on one or more of the body systems as a person sustains their exercise habit, it essentially the benefits a client receives over the long term if they stick to it. Chronic sociological adaptation are a vital part of our ability to develop and improve over time, allowing us to cope with changes and demands being placed on our body's various systems is their ability to adapt. Without chronic sociological adaptation, we simply would never improve our fitness or strength as a result of training. In fact, if our bodies didn't adapt to the chronic stresses that it experiences, we would not even change from the day we were born. Endurance training leads to adaptation in both the cardiovascular and musculoskeletal system that supports an overall increase in exercise capacity and performance. Resistance training use of the resistance to muscular contraction to build and strength and aerobic endurance and size of skeletal muscles. So exercise sociology is the study of the body's response and ability to adapt to physical activity. Exercise sociology, like exercise science, focuses on how physical activity can improve health and wellness.